Hey guys, so today we're going to be creating another turtle game with Python. It's going to be a Space Invaders game where you control a spaceship and you have to shoot some aliens. So, let's get started. The first thing we want to do is import turtle because that's going to be the module we're going to be using, the turtle module. And we want to set up a window. So this is going to be like a pop-up window when we run this program. And then that's going to be where all our code is going to show the game. So wn window is equal to turtle dot screen. That's just pop-up screen. wn dot setup window dot setup. We want the width to be 540 pixels. Height is also 540 pixels. So it's going to be a square. When you're creating your own game, make sure you test out different widths and heights to adjust them to your own liking. Now, we want to set the background color to light green, and we want to set the title to Space Invaders. So when we run this, or actually let me save this first. Space Invaders. And now when we run this, you see a pop-up window appears. And at the top left of the pop-up window, it says Space Invaders. That's the title here. You could change that if you want. The background is also light green, which that could be changed also to something like light blue, red, something like that if you'd like. Now what we could do is we want to draw a border. So inside of this border is just going to show different, it's just going to show where the alien is going to move from side to side, and it's going to be the boundary where you can control your spaceship. So border turtle, so this is going to be pen.turtle. Border is equal to turtle.turtle. You can set the speed of the border to 0, so whenever we move from one position to another position, it's going to get there immediately. We could set the color of the border to something like black. When we move, since we're changing the border pen's position, we want to raise it, so when we move the pen, it's not going to draw anything. So set position, -200, -200. So what I mean by that is, when I run this now, there isn't going to be a line. Yeah, see the pen just moved to this position. If I comment out this line right here, then see there's going to be a straight line from the center to -200, -200. So that's why we raise our pen up. Now that we want to start drawing, we want to set the pen down, and we could set the pen size. So set or pen size. This is just going to set the thickness of the pen. And then what we want to do now is we want to create our border. We want to move the pen forward. So when I run this, our pen was originally at the origin, then it moved to -200, -200. And then since it was facing right and we moved it forward 400 pixels, it went from here to there. We want to do this 4 times for each side, and how we can do that is with a for loop. So each time the for loop runs, our pen moves 400 pixels, then we want it to turn left. If we don't change the angle, it's just going to keep going 400 pixels to the right. So forward, for side, in a range 4, since we're going to have 4 sides. Anything inside of this for loop with a tab, so you want to tab it, is going to run 4 times. So border dot left 90 degrees, and when we run this again, it created a border. So we're going to have a spaceship in the middle, and then we want to create our spaceship so that it can't go outside the border. And you notice how there's an arrow still at the bottom. In order to hide that arrow, we just write border. This is the pen name dot hide turtle. So now it will be gone when I run this again. Yep, it's gone. So now that we have created our border, we can create our spaceship. So before we do that, we want to register shape. So we can have turtle dot register shape to a rocket GIF or GIF. And what this basically does is that when we want to change the shape of the turtle, there's an option for us to change it to this. So that's basically a download. So an image that I downloaded. If you could change, you could find a rocket image online, then download it, and then use that image. And now what I want to do is create the player turtle. So player is equal to turtle.turtle. This is going to be the player pen. And actually, let me create more lines. Player.shape is now, we can use this now since we already registered the shape. And then when we save this and run it, there is a spaceship in the middle. But the problem is now we can't control it, unfortunately. And we don't want the spaceship to stay in the center. We want it to possibly be at the bottom so that, there's more room for the enemies. So let's raise it. When we want to move it again, we want to raise it. So player.up, player.speed is 0. So when we move it, it will get there instantly. And we want to set the position of the player to 0, negative 180. And then we want to set the player heading. So player dot set heading 90. So let's run this. Before it was here, and then now it's at 0, negative 180. What we could do now is we want to be able to move our player from left to right. So how we do this is we want to create a function. So function. We can set this up top. In Python reads from top to bottom. So if you have a function after you call it, then the function isn't going to run. So you need the function before. So to play it safe, we'll set the function at the very top. But function, how we create a function is def move left. So this is going to be the name. The name is move left, parentheses, colon, and then anything inside of this tab space is going to be part of the function. So what we want to do when we move left, we want to change the player's x direction. So player, we could set a variable player difference in x is equal to 15 pixels. That's just going to be how much our player is going to move for mine. So we can set the new x value is equal to the previous player x coordinate minus player underscore dx, difference in x. And then player dot set x position at this position. So when we run this, it should actually, and then actually no, this shouldn't work at all for now. Now we want to move right, and then x is equal to player dot x coordinate plus player difference in x, and then player dot set x at x. If we try to run this now, what you will see is that even if we press the left and right arrow keys, or A or D, it's not going to move. Why? It's because this isn't taking any input so far. So how we create keyboard binding or input from our keyboard is that we want to create keyboard binding turtle.listen. So this is just going to listen for input from our keyboard, and then turtle.onKey, and then the first parameter of this onKey is going to be the function name. So move left, and then I'm going to be using the right arrow key. So okay, let's analyze this. So when a key is pressed with onKey, it's going to call this function. But which key is it going to call? In this case, it's going to call the right arrow key. So this right basically represents the right arrow key. And then to get input from the left arrow key, so turtle.onKey move. I mean, oops, this should be left actually. Left, move, right, and then this should be right. So when we press the right arrow key with onKey, the turtle will move right. So let's see if this works. And yeah, when we press the right arrow key, it should move right 15 pixels. And then when we press the left arrow key, it should move left 15 pixels. But there's still another problem. When we get to the border, we can get out. So now, and then we can even get out of the window. So that's a problem. So let's see. In order to solve this, we want to check if our player has touched a boundary. How we do that? Well, we can go back into our function, if, and we want to create an if statement. So if the player's x coordinate is too far or behind the left wall, or too far to the right of the right wall, then that's a problem. So we want it to stay within. So if for move left the x is less than -90, then x is equal to -90. So if we run this, let's see what happens. So we're moving left. Wait a second. If x is less than -190, x is equal to, oh, that's right. I set this underneath this. You want to make sure you set it before the set x position, so it would actually do something. And then when we try to get out of this box, it won't let us, since the second we exit it, or the second we try to exit it from -190, then it's just going to change the x value back to -190. And then we want to do the same thing with right. So if x is greater than 190, x is equal to 190. We try to move out of the right section. And again, when we try pressing right, even though we're at 190, it's not going to exit. So this is going to be the first part, or this is going to be part 1 of the series, where we basically just created our boundary and our player turtle. And yeah.